bien, je suis très heureux de vous rencontrer. Je vais essayer, je ne sais pas si vous pouvez me voir là. Oui? Vous voulez que je sois debout? Merci. Eh bien, je suis très content de vous rencontrer. Je serais très heureux d'essayer de répondre aux questions sur la politique américaine au Vietnam et comment nous voyons la situation dans le sud-est asiatique. Well, I had a very, because I've known Monsieur Jacques for a long time, and I esteem him very highly, and he and I have one thing in common. When Chairman Khrushchev made his American tour in 1959, I was the official escort for the United States government, and when he made his tour in France, Monsieur Jacques was the official escort for the French government. And so we have a very good personal relationship. And I think the conversation was useful because we were able to expose the points of view of each other's governments in very sharp focus so that there is a real understanding of what each thinks. I think there is agreement on both sides that we do not want Southeast Asia to fall under communist domination. The disagreement comes on how you go about accomplishing that. I wouldn't say that the conversations produced any startling new concepts, but I would say that the exchange was cordial and frank, and that it did contribute to a sharp focus, a vivid understanding of each other's viewpoints. I'd put it like that.
The European governments, and also to reassure them that there will be no escalation of war?
Or we don't think it's necessary to reassure them that there will be no escalation of the war. We think it's pretty well understood here that the reaction of the President to events in the Bay of Tonkin was a restrained, limited reaction. And what would be the effect in the United States? Wouldn't you see in the United States a tremendous upsurge of feeling that, well, we might as well go back to Fortress America and gird up our loins and resign from the world, so to speak? Would that be a good thing for Europe? I can remember in 1950 here in France, a very eminent Frenchman said to the American ambassador that the decision to resist the communists in Korea was a wonderful thing for Europe, because if you were willing to stand off communism in Korea, it meant you would be willing to stand it off here. And in those days, it was understood in Europe that Korea was a question which had great immediacy, great moment, great importance for Europe. Same is true of Vietnam. For some reason or other, people in Europe don't seem to look at it the same way, but I think they should. And that's why we're doing this. Now, it is slow and it's hard, but it's not impossible, in my opinion. I think there's a difference between, because of the Sino-Soviet rift, that changes the... there are obvious differences between Berlin and Vietnam, but there is no difference in that both test the ability and the will of the free peoples to resist aggression. Both are a test of that. Now, I grant you that the Soviet Union has much more to say about what they're going to do about Berlin than they have about Vietnam, and that the Chinese communists have a greater influence in the Vietnamese problem than they have in Berlin. But the question of whether you're going to allow yourself to be driven out of places where freedom is at stake is the same problem in both places, in my opinion. 18. I ever spoke about that phase of it. I do think that he is a very able professional military man, and he is a man who is learning on the subjects that he has not been a specialist in. He is learning about political, diplomatic, economic, financial things. And I think he's made some good speeches, and I think he's a man who's in a state of development. But the way in which you rally the people to the government is not by speeches, it's by keeping order so they get a good night's sleep. It's almost as simple as that. The people there don't demand as much as we do in the West. And if they could have security, they could sleep well at night, then I think an awful lot of them would support the government, and that it's actions that count rather than the type of leadership that we're accustomed to get from political leaders through speeches and that kind of thing. Huge organization in back of him. Thank you for your remarks about my extreme brilliance, which I know are not true, but which I enjoy hearing very much. I was in the tanks. I was with le Maréchal de Lattre de Tassigny, un vraiment grand homme. D'abord, était une perte pour nous tous. J'ai visité Madame de Lattre cet après-midi. C'est évident que l'infiltration est une chose importante. Et l'infiltration à travers la frontière entre le Vietnam Nord et le Vietnam Sud, c'est pas important parce que la frontière c'est très étroit et c'est très bien organisé, mais l'infiltration par